Richie?
Yes, Senator. I have a question there for you. How much longer is Washington going to allow the Department of Veteran Affairs to turn its backs on Vietnam Asian veterans? All our drinking water came from the contaminated mountain Gulf.
What specifically are you asking for here?
Should be recognized for Agent Orange connection. Blue water veterans.
All right, I need to learn more about this, and I want to work on this.
I have yet to see a ship with a well on it. All our water came from the...
All right, well, I have worked very hard on these issues where the government tends to deny people. You know, what I've felt with the Department of Defense is their attitude is, even though they know these folks volunteered to risk their lives, they disbelieve them in the first instance instead of believing them. I think you should believe them. And if it turns out somebody's lying, so be it. But I want to switch the presumption on this. This is how I was able to get the first Gulf War period extended. They had this 2-year deal. We got that extended, but I will get into this blue water thing, and I'll get back to you. Carlson?
Yeah, Senator, first of all, I want to thank you for your recent introduction of the partnering with you and Governor Feingold, the Governor and Governor Feingold bill called
on Afghanistan.
On Afghanistan, talking about flexible timelines, but some kind of dates in terms of
right.
The war in Afghanistan. And I wanted to remark that with a recent survey commissioned by none other than the U.S. military, 94% of respondents of the residents of Kandahar said they're opposed to this upcoming NATO, which is in fact really a U.S. military-led offensive in Kandahar, a city of hundreds of thousands of people. We regard President Karzai of Afghanistan as the legitimately elected leader of Afghanistan. He is opposed to this offensive. He wants peace talks with the Taliban, which are actually the people of Afghanistan. Why is it that we can't get the Obama administration to consider some kind of peace talks with Afghanistan? And just a quick dovetail with the concerns that I've heard here today about the cost to the states and the federal government of everything from illegal immigration to cap and trade and so forth. How is it that the American people don't recognize that $800 billion this year are being spent in a Pentagon budget for weapons we'll never need, bases overseas that we don't need, and that if we talk about the deficit, we're talking about $500 billion every year for the last 10 years.
I mean, this is a classic sacred cow situation. Afghanistan this year, $80 billion alone. Where are people talking about? Aren't people concerned? Look, I think we have a good president. I like him. But I totally disagree with him on Afghanistan. And I understand, some of the Democrats are like, well, it's Obama now, you should support him. I think he's got it wrong. And I think it doesn't make sense to build up all these troops in Afghanistan when we know the leadership of al-Qaeda is not there. Now, there are Taliban that are operating with al-Qaeda. But there are also a whole bunch of people that are, quote, Taliban that really, all they care about is their own local stuff in Afghanistan. They're not really, they don't have the same agenda toward the United States, at least so far, that al-Qaeda does. Al-Qaeda wants to destroy us. Taliban wants us to go away and just run that place. So we got to think about how we can cause a wedge. And I don't think you do it by invading and continuing to take over a country over 10 years where even the main leadership of al-Qaeda doesn't exist. So I will continue to work on that. Robert Adamine? Sir, I'm pleased you're here. Clayton Larson? Clayton? Anything? My bill.
And the promises that we were going to be on, I don't see very much happening. And I asked the same question when we met at Barron a year ago or so. Maybe there's supposed to be 50,000 once.
What's that?
The money and the weapons that we use that don't be known, it could be spent for the things that people want here, but can't get done because we don't have the funding.
Absolutely right. Now, with regard to Iraq, so far it appears that the timeline is being followed. Could change, but it looks like we're going to be out of there on the timeline. There is no time.
What percentage of the troops there now will be out?
What's that?
What percentage of the troops that are there right now will be out by the end of this year?
I'm going to have to look up the exact time frame. I'll get back to you. I don't want to speculate on that. But in Afghanistan, the president, when he made his announcement, he said, well, we're going to start to withdraw the troops on July. So he says that's a timeline. Well, to me, a timeline has at least 2 points. It's a line. When you start, that doesn't mean a thing. You can take one guy out, and that's the timeline. I want a real timeline. I want to give the president, I want to pass this bill and give the president, because he is the commander-in-chief, the first opportunity to give us a flexible timeline. If that doesn't work, I'll do what I did in Iraq and start trying to pass a bill that actually says, hey, here's the timeline if you won't do it. So I will be doing that as I go forward.
Will there be potential controls that we can have?
Very concerned about this. I'll be back in Washington this evening, and we will be continuing the debate on financial regulation, which probably will be completed by the end of this week. Very quickly, I never bought into any of this. I was one of 8 senators in 1999 to vote against repealing the regulations on Wall Street. I voted against Glass-Steagall when Clinton and Gore and Gingrich and everybody was saying this is a great thing. I thought it looked terrible. And, I couldn't say for sure that something like this would happen, but I was worried that it would. And so in the fall of 2008, when McCain and Obama and everybody ran as fast as they could to George Bush to see who could vote for the bailout first, I asked a question. I said, where's the re-regulation? Well, we're going to do that later. Well, here it is, all these, and I voted against the bailout. Voted against the Wall Street bailout. Here it is, a year and a half, a couple years later almost, and we have a bill finally. And they're saying, oh, it's a good bill, a strong bill. No, it's not. It's not strong enough. It's not strong enough and too big to fail. It doesn't reinstitute the Glass-Steagall rules. And we're going to try this week to win amendments to do that. I'll tell you what, I'm not voting for any bill that doesn't prevent this from happening again. Because that'll be it. They'll say, we did it. We're done. And then we'll find out that it isn't adequate. The pressure has to stay on, so unless we win these amendments, I'll be voting no.